Welcome home, all. Thank you for being here. It is Wednesday, the 24th of June, 2026. And if you're here, appreciate it. We changed the day, obviously, not on the Thursday. We're today, this week anyway. We're on the Wednesday, so back to back last night and tonight, and we will not be on next. Excuse me, this tomorrow, obviously Thursday, and then I think we're good to be back to regular schedule for the following week, going into the month of July. So knee deep into the summer, and I hope let me do that up front. I hope you guys are all good. Hope you're doing as well as can be expected, or as well as you can be had in current climate and environment, etc. Bottom line is, like, I'll say this, that in general, it's better to be an optimistic and positive, glass half full person all the time. In general, that needs to be and built into as part of your framework, who you are, the way you conduct yourself, the way you think. And the reason why is because when things are not good, or things are bad, or the times are rough for whatever reason, personal, health, finance, etc., if you are the glass half full guy, gal, if you generally believe the universe tends to unfold as it should for good, the arc of justice, bends, give you a whole bunch of good lines, but it allows you to live better, longer, and in a better state of mind, because, and I'm not going to get into this because I'm not an expert on this area, but the mental health that is now like a thing, and justifiably so. The mental health of individuals, the mental health of people, we never really took that into account. We never understood that. We never acknowledged it, accepted it, and took it as something that is necessary as a component for fitness and well-being as a whole. Then I'll make it simple. If you feel bad, you feel like shit, it's kind of hard to be good, at the things that you do. And I think you'll understand this, a perennially or perpetually negative person usually ends up being negative or involved in negative stuff. So if you're perpetually and perennially positive, the bad times, the down times are just here for a little bit, and you're always moving toward that good time, that good feeling, right? I would like to think, and I won't like to think I am, in general, a definitely more glass half full, positive person, because I've been on the other end of not good things. And I'll say this, like, my mom is real mechanical and methodical about who she is and the way she does her thing. She's a beast, and she had to be. After my dad died when I was a boy, little, and she had to raise us, me and my brother and sister, on her own. So life threw her ugly curves, and she dealt with them, and she developed some good scar tissue. And she doesn't bullshit around and play games a whole lot that way. She makes shit happen. She gets things done. She's all business. But my dad was kind of the opposite before he died. And I'm not opposite in a bad way, but just like counter to that. And my mom would say the same thing, is that he was always upbeat. He was always positive. He was always having a good time. He was always cracking a smile. He always found the good, the silver lining. He always found the good in people and the good from people. He always found a way to make it work. He always found the positive. And don't get me wrong, there's always negative for everybody, but in general, he lived a life of positive, glass half full, universe unfolding as it should in a good way, right? So my point to you is, like, for today, as we start, I talk a lot about things that I do not want to see, or I think that are damaging and dangerous to our country and who we are as a society, who we are as Americans, and who we are at large as human beings, because we are just a percentage of this global human population. And there is segue here, a slow, delayed, methodical segue into what we're going to be talking about tonight. But I want to make sure I'm clear up front on this end that I am fundamentally and generally a positive person. I have had more than my fair share of good negative stuff. Negative things happen. Good meaning hard and difficult, and strong negative things. But I'm a positive, upbeat, and generally believing in the good person. And that's not going to change. It is who I am now. So it's like, even if I tried it, it wouldn't work, right? It wouldn't work. In other words, condition yourself, train yourself physically, mentally, for sure, psychologically, intellectually, to be that, and you'll always be that. And when the bad times come, they're literally just a blip on your radar because you're always bending toward the positive. You are always moving your energy, your inertia personally, you who you are. I personally, my inertia is always moving to the next good moment, the next good thing, the next positive, the next upbeat, the next good. And if you do that, life is better. I'll just say it. And I think most people generally understand that. Most people get that, right? And I'll say, like, with normal, it's easy to understand that, simple in concept, difficult in application. It's easy to understand and know and to say that, but it's harder to actually do it, right? Because of in some cases, the oppressiveness of negative that can come your way at difficult times in your life. Loss of a loved one, loss of an animal, loss of a job, a career, whatever. It can be oppressive and break you that way. But again, if you condition yourself, and for the record, all of this is doable. I'm telling you directly because I've lived this life, and that is where I'm at. Bending yourself, moving yourself, your inertia, your energy, your motion, always falling forward toward the positive is a plus and will help you get through, and not just help, but inexorably move you through any negatives. You'll always know that there's always better coming. You just have to get through this rough time now and deal with it. So, having said all that to start tonight, and to follow up on some of the things we talked about last night, in particular about this illegal, unconstitutional, incompetent excuse for a war started by a president that doesn't know his ass from a hot rock when it comes to our military, our men and women in uniform. Real, true patriotism that is at the core foundation of who we are as a people, right from the beginning of the Declaration of Independence, out of the Articles of Confederation. Articles of Confederation after and out of the Declaration of Independence, and then ultimately into the Constitution. But prior to that, the Federalist Papers, works of Thomas Paine, and other founding fathers that laid out the argument for why we needed to be our own people and not under the oppressive rule of one individual that thinks they knew everything, and that they can dictate and run our lives by fiat, by just saying this is the way it should be. And as I say all of that, if you're listening and you're paying attention and you're staying with me, the show for the thinking Mexican, the show for the thinking American, understandably, you understand where I'm at, because that is where we are at right now as we approach our 250th birthday. And we have quite literally gone 250 years barreling, head rushing forward to a quarter of a millennium of existence as a people, as a country. And the founding principles and the rationale and the reason and the philosophies for why we exist as a country, and the reason we revolted, the reason we have a constitution, the reason we have freedoms, the reason we have a Bill of Rights, the reason we are the country that we are, the greatest on earth, the greatest it's ever been, all of that. And here we are, in some ways, right back to square one. We revolted because we did not want a sole person, one individual, one king, and in our case, a wannabe king, dictating and running and telling us how to live our lives, feeding us bullshit, telling us lies, while they enrich themselves and they live the life of luxury, the life of wealth, while we do not. So put a pin on that and lock it down, because we started this thing 250 years ago against an individual, against a king, against one person that thought it was their right to tell us how to live, how to exist, what sports to watch, what people to like, what things to dislike, what wars to kiss ass to, how to live. And here we are today, basically, in essence and in evidence, dealing with an individual today that happens to sit in our Oval Office in our house, the White House, telling us how to live, telling us what is good, getting our young people killed because he started a war that he didn't have to, because he's stupid and incompetent. But because he's rich, wealthy, and he's spoiled, and he was raised like a spoiled little bitch, that we have to deal with it simply because of who he is. That in and of itself is a hell of a conundrum for us as a people to deal with and acknowledge, as we not so shortly head to July 4th and our anniversary as a country and as a people. And I want to hammer that home real hard tonight before we get into the meat of tonight's substance. But I want you to think about that. If you remember nothing from tonight, remember that. We're about to hit 250 years. And the reason we exist, the reason we started this country, is because we had one person, one man, one fat old white guy that thought he can tell us what to do and how to live and what is good and what is not. And they can send our sons and daughters to go get killed for no fucking reason other than what? Draw attention away from the Epstein files because I'm in it 38,000 fucking times? Reiterate the point. Donald Trump is in the Epstein files over 38,000 times. But nothing to see here. And as I said yesterday, if you're part of the MAGA cult, you are a fucking pedophile supporter, because Donald Trump will not do anything about the pedophiles, sex traffickers, and sick fuckers that are in the Epstein files. Will not. And how do I know that? Because it's in evidence today, and any Philistine, Cro-Magnon, dumb shit can see that, because nothing has been done. There are no prosecutions. There are no more investigations with Donald Trump's Department of Justice. You are indeed a pedophile supporter. So, for tonight, the title for tonight's show, Global Trust, International Trust, Geopolitical Trust, and Opinion of these United States is at an all-time low with regard to the perception of us and the opinion of us from the outside world that is not the United States. Okay? Make sure I'm crystal clear. I'm not talking about us in the United States. And for the record, that's actually kind of simple too, by the way, because Donald Trump's war, the Epstein war, Operation Epstein Fury, is not wanted and not approved by an overwhelming majority of the American people. In excess of 60 to 70% of the American people. I think it's actually more personally. But based on at least evidentiary numbers, a good 60 to 70%, depending on the poll, of the American people, the overwhelming majority of American people, including Republicans, including conservatives that have been kissing his ass for this entire time, are not for Operation Epstein Fury. So even in the United States, not for it. Okay, so let's put a pin on that. Hold on to that thought for 1 second. That's us. That's the United States, right? And now I'm going to take you. Come with me. Come with me. I'm going to take you outside of the United States in a philosophical and intellectual way. Obviously not physically, unless you all guys want. Let's all come to Fresno. Let's get on a flight and go somewhere, right? Anyway, we're not doing that, but let me take you outside of the United States to other parts of the globe. And tonight, we're going to take a look and an understanding of what the rest of this planet is seeing, what the rest of this planet believes. Because as I've said a million times in the past and prior, we are not the only people in existence, and we are not the only people on this planet. We are not the only ones that have a right to exist, to live, to breathe, to pursue life, liberty, and happiness. That's in our documents, right? Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But the very nature of those documents also stipulate that that is for us, that is written and codified in American history. But the understanding is that all human beings, all people, deserve the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So everybody out there, everybody else, right? Not just the United States. So as of now, where we are now after the Trump-Stein war, after this Operation Epstein Fury, that isn't done. I kind of went over this yesterday. We have an MOU, we have a memorandum of understanding, but that does not mean that it is solidified, it is codified, it is enacted, it is binding legally, whatever that means, because international law, who the fuck abides by it? I mean, seriously, we don't. We just do whatever the hell we want. We go kidnap foreign leaders. And yeah, I'm taking a shot at us as Americans. We fuck up and do stupid shit too. That doesn't make me less American. As a matter of fact, it makes me the most American. To acknowledge the shit that we don't do right, the shit that we are illegal about, the shit that we do wrong. That is the most American approach to who and what we are. That is what founding fathers and founding principles, many of them, some of them, a lot of them, would say. How are we any better if we do the same shit, right? So, as of today, as of right now, many people internationally that are observing, that are watching, and like you can say in general that people pay attention to us and watch because we're the United States. We lead the world in a lot of different areas, obviously militarily, of course, everybody understands that. Economically, everybody understands that. But for sure, and people do understand this, culturally, musically, artistically, we lead in a lot of ways. Culturally, we export who we are. One of the biggest benefits, one of the greatest things we ever did after World War II wasn't just NATO, and that was. And for those of you who don't like NATO, I won't even be rough about it. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. NATO is the single greatest peacekeeping entity in the history of the world. Period. No single entity / organization / group has ever done more to keep war at bay and to keep peace globally. All right, that's NATO. Well, what else did we do good out of the World War II experience, negative experience for the globe? We exported our culture. True business. In my time when I was in Germany as a young soldier in the 1st Infantry Division, Federal Republic of Germany back then when it was West Germany and East Germany, I would go downtown on the weekends with my buddies onto the economy. We had our base. We'd leave our base and we'd go into the economy, the city, Geppingen, just outside of Stuttgart. And we'd go to a club, go drink, go to a bar, go to clubs, dance, meet girls, what young guys do. And almost uniformly, and with like no, how do I want to describe this? Uniformly and ubiquitously, everywhere we went, there were images cultural images. They were not German. They were American. Watch this. You're going to learn something tonight. If you're not a former soldier that spent time in Germany back then or even now. 3 figures. You ready? 3 figures. Iconic figures. Elvis Presley, Marilyn Monroe, and James Dean. Everywhere I went, clubs, bars, etc., there were always these images. Pictures. James Dean in the red jacket, looking cool, smoking a cigar. Marilyn Monroe with the dress flying up. I can't remember what was the movie. Some Like It Hot. I can't remember if that was the movie. I could be wrong. If you're watching and you know, please correct me. I love being corrected if I don't know. Totally okay with being not knowing of something. I don't know everything. Marilyn Monroe. And then, of course, Elvis. Not later Elvis. Not going to make fun of him. I don't like making fun of Elvis. But younger Elvis. And even some pictures of Elvis when he was in uniform. Because Elvis spent time in the United States Army in Germany. And I've heard a lot of negative over a life about what Elvis was and what Elvis wasn't, but this is what I will never forget and what I grew up with. Elvis was a musician, a singer, and a celebrity, but that motherfucker went and served his country. And he didn't have to. He didn't have to. Because there was no draft at that time, and he chose to serve. He chose to serve. And I don't want to hear any excuses or bitches about, well, why did he do this? Why did maybe he did it. No. Bottom line, he signed his name on a piece of paper, giving his ass to his country. And I have monster respect for especially a celebrity that didn't have to. Okay. So anyway, my point is those 3 figures, if you didn't know that, you know it now. I would be interested. Maybe I need to go back to Germany to see, right? I've been out a long time now. I've been over 30 something years since I've been out. But Elvis, Marilyn Monroe, and James Dean. Those 3 American cultural iconic figures were all over the place. Bars, clubs, you name it, they were there. And what is my point? My point is that we exported who we were. The Germans no longer wanted to fight us, not right out of the 40s, obviously, after World War II, but into the 50s, into the 60s. They no longer wanted to fight us because of what World War II was and one was, but because they liked us. They thought we were cool. They liked our musicians. They liked our actors. They liked our culture. And watch this. Because young Germans growing up at those times wanted to be like Elvis and James Dean and Marilyn Monroe, they wanted to be like us. And because they wanted to be like us, no, they didn't want to fight us. They wanted to be with us. They wanted to be allied with us. And we are a far stretch from that time now, ladies and gentlemen. To the meat of where I'm going tonight with this, I would hazard a guess and say that that's probably still there because we still have bases, not as many. I was part of the drawdown in 91 and 92, where we began to draw down our bases in Germany and started to pull out. There's still some. I don't know how many specifically. I guess we can find that out, but nowhere near what it used to be. We had a lot of bases in Germany. We had a lot of soldier stations in Germany, especially when there was an East and West Germany. And that potential Cold War conflict could, at the World War III prevention, obviously, we had soldiers there because we wanted to prevent the possibility that the Soviet Union would attack Western Europe, i.e. Germany and others, and that we would be there to stop it. Noble shit. Noble shit. Awesome shit. And I'm proud to have been my small part in it, being there when the Berlin Wall went down. As the years have gone on, and it's 30 plus years now, 3 decades later, it is fucking staggering to me how lucky I was to be there. Really, how lucky I was to be there. Yeah, could there have been a war? Could there have been a World War III? We used to joke in my unit, and the soldiers there with me, my friends, that if shit hit the fan, and it happened, it had actually happened, World War III, the Russians and the Soviet Union and the Eastern Bloc countries, some of you don't even know what the hell that is, but the Eastern Bloc countries, bunch of fucking T-80s rolling down the Fulda Gap and coming at us, and here we go, we're on, let's do this shit. That is what I remember, and I'm thankful for being there. I'm thankful for being a small part of what we were that time. So that's all gone that way. The perception of us, the perception of other countries, the perception of young people in other countries, in particular Europe, for sure, because let's just put it on the table and make it easy. Europe is one of, if not the continent that is the most advanced per person, economically, technologically, etc. I don't want to say culturally, and that's a different thing, but at the very least, economically and technologically, militarily too, it is probably the most advanced continent. North America, yeah. But for the most part, per person, it's probably Europe. Might be just Europe, right? Okay, they are what they are. They are what it is. But they no longer want to be like us the same way. Definitely not the same numbers. There's still people there that love Americans, like people, regular people. They don't love our fucking politicians, and they definitely don't like Trump's fat ass. They make fun of him. They clown him. They revile him. They are repulsed by him. And because of that, there is a little bit of sadness on their part that what they remember as the people of the United States, what they remember as the cultural juggernaut that we were out of World War II and into the modern era, 50s, 60s, 70s, even in the 80s. They are amazed. And this is not hyperbole. This is not exaggeration. This is all fact right now, current fact. I've said before, I read a lot, I study a lot, I watch a lot from other countries. In Spanish, in English, obviously. The UK is great for media, by the way. All of them have their bents one way or the other. But for the most part, most UK legitimate, credible outlets, they're news. They're not like Fox News. I'm all sucking Trump's ass because that's I have to do. They don't do that. Not the same way. They don't do that. They are news. They are media. They're straight-laced that way. So English, French, I watch a few. It's hard in Italian, but I told you can get subtitles too. I do understand a little bit of Italian, but I also can get subtitles, and I can watch stuff on YouTube and other outlets, other stuff that the Italians put out in Spain, in France, etc. And to a degree, and I've said before, a little bit of German. I do understand a little bit of German. It's not easy. If they're talking real fast, it's hard for me to keep up. But again, with subtitles and a little bit of smattering from having lived there for a little bit, a long time ago, I can pick up some German. And so I listen and I gather. And bottom line, ladies and gentlemen, and for the meat of the show tonight, I'm just going to be, simple here and say it. We are not viewed the same way in the world from a positive perspective. As I alluded to at the top of the show, being positive, we are not viewed the same way. They would never have attacked us or fought with us because they want to be like us. Right now, those other countries, those European technologically advanced cultures and people do not want to be like us. More than ever before, they do not want to be like us. They don't hold us with the same reverence. They don't respect us the same way. They think we've gone off the rails and lost our way and that we're not what we used to be. And when you get the majority of the world, an overwhelming percentage of the world's population that believes that, we actually have to consider that maybe they're right. Maybe they know what they're talking about because they're watching us from an outside perspective, watching us do our thing and objectively viewing us as like, well, United States ain't what it used to be. Yeah, I don't know. I don't trust those people. They're doing some crazy shit now. They're just starting wars because they can. They're picking on people because they're bullies now. We have the biggest badass military on the planet, and we're exercising it like we're a kid playing with a fucking toy. Other countries see that. They don't respect us that way anymore because in the past we had, and I'm not going like super far back, right? Obviously, but resolve, discipline, right and wrong, rule of law, orderly conduct in combat. That is what we used to be. Not so much anymore. Our military and the people in uniform, they do their job. But when people giving them the orders are fucking up and doing stupid shit, then by extension, they're colored with it. So global perception today, based on the last handful of years with Trump and in past into his first term, and others won't do it, but I'm going to do it because I call it like I see it. Biden actually increasing the quality and the number and strength of NATO may end up being a blip on the radar and an anomaly in the grand scope of where we go as a society in America and who we are militarily with our allies. That may end up being an anomaly, but let's put that on the table. Biden increased the strength of NATO. No president has done that since probably 50s. Go back a long way, 50s, 60s. Biden did that. So he was a blip between the first Trump presidency and the second one. And all Trump has done is weaken us that way, for sure. And our NATO allies see it. I watched footage and coverage of the G7 just recently, a week ago. They tolerate our president. They clearly do not like him. They deal with him because they have to. But they don't like him. And they don't want to be like him. They know that he is fat, lazy, not very bright. I don't give a shit what anybody says. If you listen to him speak, he speaks tolerably better than a sixth grader. And it's on us that someone like that has gotten away with that for so fucking long. That's on us as a society, that he has managed to rise to power with that limited skill set intellectually. Consider that. It's not him. The fault, dear Brutus, is in our stars. Give you some Shakespeare for tonight. But again, international observers, particularly in Europe, view the conflict in Iran as a misstep at the least, a catastrophe at worst. Similar and definitely the same as the Iraq War. That's legitimate. A lot of the same rationale. People don't even remember even now. This is how short our attention span is as a people. Because they even said this. I think it was Rubio. Within the first few days, he said, we attacked Iran because they were about to attack Israel. Not that they were going to attack the United States. They were going to attack Israel. Oh, they're going to attack Israel, so I got to attack them. Think about that, how stupid and asinine that is. But that was a rationale. That is on record. That is viewable and listenable. It was said. It's in the record. Why did we start this war? That was a rationale, one of them anyway. So most of the rest of the world views this Operation Epstein Fury as another round of Iraq and Afghanistan, where we literally manufactured a rationale to go fuck with people in the Middle East. That's what they see it as. And it's legitimate, by the way. It's not just seeing it. It is factual. It's logical. It makes sense. That's pretty much it. Viewable. Now, Trump will tell you otherwise because he lies all the fucking time and he gets stupid people to believe him. So by all means, if you're a stupid people, be with him. I'm not. I don't believe it. I think it's stupid. And I'll say so. And I'll not believe him. So that's what a good portion of the rest of the world sees. And again, not just foreign leaders, foreign governments, but actual people, regular people. Widespread belief that what we did in Iran, widespread meaning globally, that what we did in Iran was not only premature, but it was unnecessary. And done for nothing that they can understand. There was no measurable objective. There was nothing that was done, no flashpoint that signaled, oh shit, this is bad for the world. Somebody's got to do something. There was none of that. The understanding and the belief is that the United States and Donald Trump launched a war into Iran against Iran for some domestic United States reason, because there was no global rationale and no reason to do so. There just wasn't. So that's what they believe. And it's hard to change that because it's an evidence as something that is factual. The economic blowback in countries across Europe, Asia, and Australia. The U.S. is facing intense blame for the global economic crisis because of what we did, because of the rupture in global supply movement of oil, energy product, the Strait of Hormuz that is now, I think, is hysterical because more people know what the term Strait of Hormuz is than ever before. I think it's hysterical. And I'm not being flip about it, but I actually have always known what the Strait of Hormuz was, where it's at. I could easily point it to you. I can even draw it for you if I need to, but I can point it to you on the map. I know exactly. I know why it is significant. I know why strategically it's important because of its location and because of the ingress and egress that is necessary by ships going through that strait in moving roughly 20% of the world's energy in oil and shipping. 20%. I've always known it. It's part of just knowing, learning, global and foreign policy, for one. Nothing special. But it is understood and seen that because the United States launched this war, it basically fucked with the global energy situation. It made everybody's life worse, not just people in the United States. Costs higher, energy costs higher, gas price higher, et cetera, okay? So we all know that. And now, because of Trump's stupidity and dumb shit bargaining, because he's a master deal maker, the Iranian people are now going to use the Strait of Hormuz as a leverage point to make money. Whereas prior to Trump launching a war against Iran, they never did, because it was seen as a global shipping lane for everybody to use. And because of Trump, the world isn't going to have free use of that strait anymore because of dumb shit. He literally did it. He literally manufactured it. That by itself has caused anti-U.S. sentiment and lack of respect, lack of trust, lack of faith in who we are, because we have literally caused the rest of the world pain. The whole fucking world. We have made their lives harder through rising costs, through starting a war that was unnecessary, to making people in other countries pay higher gas prices, by the way. That has happened. All because what one person did. One wannabe king telling us how to live, telling us where we're going to send our kids to go die. You get it? 250 years? Get it? We started this country because of pieces of shit like this. And here we are dealing with it now. The surge in energy costs has forced allies to question America's reliability, logically, legitimately, and its commitment to global stability. I would go a step further and add to that point here. They're questioning our commitment to global stability. I can tell them directly, any foreign leader, we don't have a commitment to global stability. Make it real simple for you, my viewer, my listener, the thinking Mexican, the thinking American. Do you really think Donald Trump gives a shit about global stability? A rhetorical question with a simple answer. No, of course he doesn't. He doesn't give a shit about anything or anyone other than his fat self. And it has caused us the problem because now we are viewed that way because of his actions. The rest of the world looks at us as a people as unreliable and not committed to stability globally for the whole goddamn world. And you know what? They're right. They're right. Because he is our president, and what he does attaches to us. The problem here is, and I've said this before, learned this a long time ago. As a matter of fact, I learned it in the military, learned it in the Army in basic training. An old drill sergeant told me, he was giving me a lesson about right and wrong and making the right decision, even when the times are tough, even when it might cost you or hurt you or it might not look right, make the right decision. He said, when you lie down with pigs, you're going to come up dirty. His point was, don't lie down with pigs. And here we are. We are literally in the pig pen with Donald Trump's fat ass as the biggest sow in the joint. And we're all dirty because of it. I don't like it. Nothing that I did, nothing that you did if you're watching my show. But yeah, we are dirty too, by extension, as a result of Donald Trump's actions. The people of the United States are dirty, dirtier than we've ever been in the eyes of the rest of the world. As I said earlier, a majority of the American public not only was not for this war, but watch this, as of now, as of right now, because there is no clear consensus as to what the hell's going on, what we achieved, what the objective was, etc. Nothing. But as of right now, not only is the majority of America, you and me and all the right people, not only is the majority of America against Operation Epstein Fury, the Trumpstein war. We were against it. We're still against it. And now, and I can honestly say this, probably even more so than any other war with the specter / possibility of Vietnam, we view this war as a loss. Now, qualify that statement. Is it a loss in the tactical sense? Did our soldiers, Marines, airmen, midshipmen, others, did they not execute? Did they not do their job? No, absolutely they did. They did. Our nation's military is the best on the planet. Period. Full stop. Easy. We all know that. Then Supermax, why are you saying this is a loss? Why is there a belief that on the part of most Americans, why is this a loss? Because even though tactically we may have been successful in some of our objectives and our missions as a military, strategically it is a loss. Iran is making money. We look like shit in the eyes of the world because we bombed and killed little women and girls. All true. All facts. We look like shit. We look like a bully. We look like an overbearing, arrogant, cocky piece of shit. And therein lies the issue. We are colored and dirty because of the pig that put us in the pen. Donald Trump's actions and activities have colored us as well. We shoulder that blame as well. We are colored and stained by his actions. We are viewed that way now. We are viewed negatively. So the majority of us, the overwhelming majority of everyone in this country was not for this war, is not for this war. And now the majority of this country views this war as a loss. Again, not tactically, strategically, yes. Financially, a loss. There is no debate there. There is no argument. I will not brook or listen to any stupid ass MAGA person tell me that it was a win because we're making more money or some stupid shit like that. It is a loss because we have spent, I don't even know how many billions. We will come due and we will know the amount. But we have spent American taxpayer dollars to go kill other people for no goddamn reason. No goddamn reason. And we will never get that money back. We've depleted our stores, our munitions. I brought that up a few weeks ago. That we're going to have to replenish and pay for. More taxpayer dollars. As we speak, Pete Hegseth is going to the Congress and asking for $80 billion more. Let me stop there, because bottom line, if you're stupid enough to argue that we won this war and not acknowledge that we have lost so much goddamn money for no stupid ass reason, good, then I got nothing for you, and I got no time to talk to you. Move the hell on. I got nothing for you. I got nothing to listen to for you. So financially, it's a loss. Economically, a loss. It is a loss in context with our allies and our friendships and our relationships, NATO itself, the other G7 countries, the world's most advanced economies. We have been hurt all the way around. We have lost. And for the meat of the show tonight, the gist of it that I want you to really grasp and understand as I laid out the lesson plan today, what I want you to come away from this show with tonight is there is data, there are numbers, there are dollar signs that can point to our loss as a people regarding this war that was started by Donald Trump illegally, unconstitutionally, and incompetently. We can show data that shows our loss. Easy. No debate, no argument. Okay? And having said all of that, and there's a whole bunch of other too, by the way. Okay, like I said, on the military side, I won't get into that tonight, but I think there is a loss. And maybe I need to. We're getting close to the back here, but let me segue there. I also said in the title tonight, American strength is now questioned. And I'm specific here. I'm not talking about the economy. I just stipulated that. I just pointed that out, right? Our resolve, no. I'm talking about our military. I'm talking about our military. Now, it's understood, it's seen. We bombed the shit out of them. We killed a lot of women and children. Real good job, Pete Hegseth, Donald Trump, bragging, talking shit about how good this war is, and you killed little women and children. Piece of shit. Subhuman. That is understood, that is known, and no military on this planet in a one-on-one, head-to-head, throw-down, mano-a-mano would want that because they understand they cannot go toe-to-toe with us. But in an asymmetric fashion, in an asymmetric way that was not toe-to-toe, mano-a-mano, that's quite literally the opposite of what I'm talking about asymmetrically, right? You're not doing it in a symmetrical fashion where you're going, you have a military, they have a military, they're of like, and they go at each other. No. They found other ways, meaning the Iranian people, the Iranian government, they found other ways, asymmetrically, differently, alternatively, to contend with, survive, and come out on the other side after having been attacked by our nation's military. The most ruthless, efficient military machine the world has ever seen. Iran's still there. Even after dumb shit said that the whole civilization was going to be gone, which, for the record, is a war crime. And if he did do that, he needs to be like hung for killing people just because, right? Never happened. It was an overstatement, as always, because Donald Trump, his fucking belly is an overstatement. All right? He is an overstatement itself. He's an overstatement indictment of everything that is wrong about American people. He crystallizes, quantifies, qualifies everything that is negative and bad about who ugly Americans actually are. He is the ugly American. You can quote that shit. Well, having said all that, our military did their job. But the Iranian people and the Iranian military still exist, regardless of what dumb shit says. Oh, we got rid of all there. We obliterated them. Yeah, sure. We got a chopper taken out just last week. But we eliminated everything. He lies and you listen. Let me retract that. If you're watching this show, if you're watching me, if you're part of Supermex Nation, this show, you're a thinking American, thinking Mexican, you know what I'm talking about. You don't listen to his lies because you know he's a bullshitter and a liar. He's an evil piece of shit. So we don't listen. Okay? But to finish the point here, to wrap up, there are other countries now all over the world that don't look at our military and our strength the same way. Because we attack them, we spend fuck tons of money attacking the Iranian people and their women and little girls. And they're still there. And they're coming out of this making money. And they're going to continue and exist. And there's no guarantee that I've got right now that anyone can tell me otherwise, that they're not going to continue with their nuclear weapons program, their missile capability. They're going to turn around and use the money that we're giving them. They're going to turn around and use the money that we've helped them grow and rebuild. And the rest of the world and other countries, including those that would be our enemy, are looking at us now as not as powerful as they thought. Because if Iran can do it, then maybe we can do it. If Iran can take the full might of the world's most powerful military machine and still exist and come out of it making money, well then shit, maybe the United States isn't so tough after all. And ladies and gentlemen, therein lies the fucking problem. The problem for you and me, the problem for this country, is the belief that we were the greatest superpower on the planet, military, economically, is now in question. Because little backward ass Iran just survived us. And they're still there. And they're making money. And we're going to give them money. And when you sum all that up and you put it together, you got to say, if you're rational and you have a logical fucking brain in your body, holy shit. This stupid, fat piece of shit, rapist, racist traitor just damaged us in a way that no president has even thought about. And nay, I would go a step further and say never could. Because whether you like a Republican or a Democrat, a Federalist back then, or anything else for that matter, when it comes to the men that have sat in that room and have served as presidents of the United States, I have never in my lifetime ever doubted that every one of them believed that what they were doing was best for this country and that this country would be stronger because of it. I don't have to agree with the way they did it. We have history. We can look and say they did right and wrong, etc. Didn't agree with all of them. Didn't agree with everything. But up until this fat sack of shit, I have never questioned that a president actually believed that what they were doing was best for the American people and that it would be better for all of us. And that's not the case anymore. In evidence, in fact, we are there. This guy has damaged us and weakened us in ways that no other president in the history of these United States could ever have even thought of. Consider that. Consider that. Let me stop here. Let me stop now. That's plenty. It's plenty because I really want you to consider where things are, where we are. Not just as Americans, but the American place in the larger fabric of fucking humanity. That's what I want you to consider tonight. The show for the thinking Mexican, the show for the thinking American. Consider that tonight. If you stayed here, I appreciate it. If you're sitting here and you get this last bit, I want you to walk away to finish up tonight, finishing this show as we finish up right now, to consider our place as a people in the global fabric of humanity. We are not the largest part of it. We are a small part of it. We are an important part, no mistaking. We have been probably the most important part, definitely over the last half century, going back probably to World War II. But I want you, my listener, my viewer, my member of Supermax Nation, to consider and ask the question, not because I'm asking it of you, but for you rhetorically to intellectually ask yourself, who are we now? And where are we now? In the eyes of history, in the eyes of the rest of the world. That shit matters. I can tell you point blank. And last point here. The United States would not be the world's richest country. The United States would not be the most powerful economic country. The United States would not have the most potent military on the planet if it were not for the fact that we have alliances, we have partnerships, we have relationships, we have economic markets that we work with, that we deal with, that are not American, that are the rest of the world, that are Europe, that are other parts, that are our friends and allies, that deal with us, that buy our products, that listen to our music, that idolize James Dean, Elvis, Marilyn Monroe. Consider that. That is no longer the same. It's not a yes or no, right or wrong answer. And this is the potency of tonight as we finish up. It is quite literally a you answer. You, my listener, my viewer. You have the answer. It's in you to understand and to know. But it starts with the intellectual component of asking that difficult question of who in the fuck we are. Where are we? Who are we? And lastly, and logically, inexorably, where are we going? And who will we be? We'll be back next Tuesday. None but love for you. Have a good weekend. Get ready for this 4th of July. Do something good for yourself and your family, your people. Spend time with loved ones, etc. As we go out, just do some positive shit. Go take care of somebody else. Go help a fucking cat. Go adopt a cat that's stray. All right? Take care of an animal. Help a little kid that doesn't have. Go help some people that don't. That's being a good American. Number love for you. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you next Tuesday.